On this episode of the Everyday Polymath podcast, we will discuss living the Polymath lifestyle and how it can enrich your life like it has mine. I'm Keith, your Everyday Polymath, returning to you from a 2-month hiatus from the podcast. Where was I, you may be wondering? Well, I'm excited to say I was busy focusing on a unique project I was invited to consult on, which took me back to my aviation roots. I'm not at liberty to get into details, but I am excited to see how this opportunity progresses in the future. However, reflecting on the last 2 months' experience has reminded me how the Everyday Polymath lifestyle has made my life an adventure beyond my wildest dreams. All of the Polymath principles and techniques I talk about are the foundation of how I live. It's so much of who I am now that I don't even think about it. It's just what I do. Hopefully, hearing how the Polymath lifestyle is such a driving force in my life will inspire you to adopt aspects of the Everyday Polymath lifestyle to improve your way of life. The fundamental concept of being a polymath is to find a balance in the 4 areas of the intellectual, physical, social, and artistic. When you find ways to stimulate each of these areas of yourself, you feel more well-grounded and fulfilled. It is essential to keep your life balanced by not letting any of these 4 principles become more dominant or lacking. Each day, think about how you'll make an effort to find this equilibrium in your activities. Eventually, you won't need to think about it consciously. You'll be able to feel it in your mood, in your routine, like something is off. After a little reflection, you'll realize where you feel deficient and can resolve it with an appropriate activity. While I was away, the work I was doing helped to stimulate the intellectual side of myself. I was back learning and researching concepts I had not thought about for years. It kept me interested and engaged in researching ideas long after work was over. When you enjoy the work you do, it never really seems like work. It's more like a valuable learning opportunity where you get paid. Anytime you can make yourself rich in both knowledge and wallet, you are on a path of outstanding growth. Make the most of these rare opportunities. Most people spend their time in school paying to learn and making money doing mindless work. You are most efficient when you have the mindset that you get paid to learn. The best of both worlds. While I was keeping my mind busy, I was also remaining fairly active at work. However, to ensure that I met my need for physical enrichment, I began a regular yoga routine each morning. It helped me to keep active while staying in a hotel. It also was a great way to get my mind ready for a challenging day. I was able to start each day focused and full of energy. On the days I didn't have time to complete my routine, I could feel it both physically and mentally. Find a physical activity you can start your day with. If you're not a morning person, try and fit in some exercise just before the time of day that requires the most concentration. It could be before studying for class or writing a report, maybe before a big meeting. The mind and body connection can have a vast improvement in your productivity if you make an effort to schedule your time appropriately. Making the most of my time, I spent the social aspect of myself talking to people at work about the project and life in general. It's often the small talk that reminds me how much we all have in common. Whether it be with an old friend or a stranger, each conversation helps us learn more about ourselves. There are a tremendous amount of kind people in the world. I feel like there are times we can forget that critical fact. By opening up and staying present in the moment, you realize people are inherently good. It's just our perspective or refusal to get out of our heads that clouds our view. Remaining present when interacting with people is the best way to nurture our communication skills and keep a positive outlook on the world. Despite being busy, I also took some time to enjoy the artistic side of myself. I couldn't just do all work. So I go out, take pictures and videos of the unique landscapes and landmarks that I came across along the way of my travels. It was a great way to engage with my friends and family by visually bringing them along for the ride. It reminded me of keeping my blog back in my blimping days. I'd continuously update it with pictures, videos, and a short description of what I was up to as we traveled city to city. It was a universal way to let anyone who cared or was curious about what I was doing to have some insight. This experience wasn't quite as adventurous as road life, but I did get to explore some areas of the country that I had not been to before. Plus, I spent more time there than I usually would, which allowed me to become a little more knowledgeable about the local culture, especially the food. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the people at Anchor for putting together such an awesome podcasting tool. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. First off, it's free, so you can launch your podcast with no risk at all and at your own pace. With their incredible creation tools, you can record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. It couldn't be easier. Not to mention, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you can be heard on all of the major platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many, many more. You can even earn money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. If you've been curious about launching your own podcast, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to start today. In addition to the 4 areas, I also remained true to the Polymath principles while I was gone. Exploring my curiosity is an easy one for any polymath in a new place. There's always so much to explore, from the local landmarks to the food. Anyone traveling for business or pleasure needs to explore their surroundings and take in the local culture. You never know what you'll find. Plus, you never know if you'll make it back that way again. Why not take the time to explore while you can, rather than regretting what you wish you would have done while you were there? It's all about the mindset of seizing the moment and living your life in the now instead of saying, someday I'm going to. Along with exploring and following your curiosities is getting out of your comfort zone. On this project, I had to help in some ways I probably wouldn't have volunteered for, but it was good for me. I learned a lot because of it. I just needed to ignore my fear of heights, which is a challenge I've been slowly working on my entire life. I never feel comfortable when I have to face my fear, but I always feel a little more confident afterwards for having the courage to try. Your comfort zone may be a fear you need to conquer, or it could be a subject matter you aren't confident in. Getting out of your comfort zone can mean a lot of different things to different people. The goal, however, should be the same, which is to challenge yourself by separating from your normal surroundings, either figuratively or literally, to see if you can rise above the surroundings to achieve the task at hand. If you do this enough, you'll begin to feel more comfortable with any of the surprises that life can throw at you. You'll be more adaptable and ready to change with your environment. Finally, this opportunity reminded me to widen my perspective and to see things from a more objective view. No matter what the goal of a project is, there's always a number of different personalities working together. Not all these personalities will always mesh. However, if you widen your perspective and see things objectively from outside your point of view, you'll get a better understanding of other people's outlooks and motivations. By taking the time to gain insight before drawing conclusions, you will be better able to communicate with them and help them to understand your perspective. Keeping communication open without unnecessary judgment will allow for greater growth in the relationship as trust grows. Once 2 people build enough rapport, there's no challenge they can't face together. if you don't take the time to build that bond, you can't expect empathy for your situation or really understand their point of view. You need to invest the time to reap the rewards of any relationship. I just touched on a few ways that I live the everyday polymath lifestyle. You too can live it by applying the polymath principles every day. Review them regularly. I assure you that over time you'll find that all of them become a part of your new outlook on life. Eventually it just becomes a part of who you are as you begin to see the results. If you make the effort to improve yourself every day, you'll see your life transform. And if you need a guide or a little encouragement, I'm always here to motivate you on your journey to a more fulfilling life. Shout out to everyone out there that is purchasing and reading my book, Becoming an Everyday Polymath, available exclusively on Amazon Kindle. I'm also very excited to announce that the workbook version has been published and is now available for purchase on Amazon.com. It came out great, allows you to fill out all the worksheets inside the book so you can keep track of your journey to becoming an everyday polymath all in one place. Thanks again to everyone who's picked it up so far. May it be your guide to achieving all your dreams, no matter how big they may be. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Polymath podcast so you can be notified of new episodes as they are released. Also, don't forget to catch up on our past episodes, available on all the major podcast formats, including Apple Podcast and Spotify. I'm your host, Keith, hoping you're staying healthy and safe out there on your everyday polymath journey. Until next time, stay curious, polymaths.